In today's episode, the Metro range. Hello and welcome back to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, looking at car brochures from around the world. We've been doing a bit of a series looking at this Rover all-range car brochure for June, July, August 1989, and quite a range of cars there were. Last time we looked at Maestro, now Metro, and actually, interestingly, Metro's got an absolutely huge range of cars, so we better get on with it. So I'll throw that on the board now. So here it is, Metro, and don't worry, we will zoom in on this image in a moment. It tells us, Metro, get going in the Metro. It's as sporty, as style conscious, as fun loving as you. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but anyway, yeah, there is the Metro. The problem with the Metro, I always thought by this stage, and it still had quite a lot of life left into it, it seemed a little bit old-fashioned. I don't know how everyone else thinks when you compare it to the other super minis, as they used to call them in the day, super mini range of other manufacturers. But maybe that was just the image of it more than how it drove, because I never actually managed to drive one of these Metros. At this stage, 1989, it was just called the Metro. Yep, Austin has dissolved. Management, in their ultimate wisdom, says we don't want the Austin name anymore. It doesn't stand for our upper class values like Rover does, so scrap the Austin name. No longer the Austin Metro, now just known as the Metro. Same as the Maestro was just known as the Maestro. Same as the Montego was just known as the Montego, which was always a little bit weird in my mind, and still thinking back, it still seems really weird that these are unbranded cars. But interestingly, the Metro is a little bit different than the Montego and the Maestro. The Maestro and the Montego slowly disappeared. The Metro in 1990 did become the Rover Metro, I guess because they hadn't really developed a small car, so they decided, hold on, we can't keep using this as an unbranded car, let's call it the Rover Metro. And then later on down the line they continued with the Metro, but dropping the Metro name and calling it the Rover 100. I never really understood the idea of having the Rover name and then slowly devaluing it by having smaller and smaller cars, but that was their wisdom. Surely the Austin name would have been better for those cars, but anyway, the past is the past. Let's zoom in on this lovely image. So we are going to look at the full range of Metros, like I say, and it is vast at this time. They really went to town with the range. This is one of the range, obviously, the GTA, sort of like a warm hatch version, but with quite attractive alloy wheels. But like I said, the range is huge, so we better get on with it. Let's see how the Metro range starts. So the Metro range starts here with the City and City X. I have missed a page actually just for full openness. The model that showed before this is actually a special or limited edition model. I usually do those at the weekend, so I've gone to the base model proper, the City, and like I say, it's also showing the City X on here. We'll read the text, we'll come back to these delightful images. So it begins by saying it'll get you places you just wouldn't believe, because the Metro City isn't just quick and economical, it's also very stylish. Cast your eyes over those slick looks, styled halogen headlamps, wide body side tapes and full wheel trims. Inside, fashionable crayons, seat facings and fully colour keyed interior. And great sound. An electronic tune stereo radio cassette player is now among the options. Head restraints too. Head restraints too, is that saying that head restraints too is an option? A little bit unusually worded. Like a really smooth and easy drive, go for the affordable 1.3 City Automatic. Or move a step uptown with the City X. This tells you about the next model up. I always think the most interesting thing about looking at the next model up tells you what the next model up has got, but of course also tells you what the very base model doesn't get. You get extra touches such as body side mouldings and the special crayon seat facings, a digital clock, plus twin door mirrors for easier parking and lane changing, and rear wash wipe for rainy days. Add that to mean economy and keen prices, and the Metro will really get you going. So, moving to the picture up slightly from the text there, this particular model is the very base model. I think because they pictured it in silver, actually it doesn't look that basic, but we'll certainly notice no passenger side mirror, which is certainly late not to be throwing that on there in 1989. Hard to see, but no rear wash wipe either. It has got head restraints though. So yeah, a bit weirdly worded, but it does look like you get head restraints even on the base model. This one is actually the one model up. It tells us the City X, and then the main image is also going to be the City X in a rather delightful shade of yellow. We can see we get that rear wash wipe on there now, but still, even the City X was pretty basic motoring for 1989. So let's move up a level. So moving up a trim level meant moving up to the L spec models, both as a 1 litre and a 1.3. So let's see what it's got to say for itself. It tells us they've never looked so good or offered you so much. The Metro L models, eye-catching style, including attractive wheel trims, coach line and body coloured bumpers and grille. Inside, snuggle into seats with chic, colourful fabrics, and lend your ears to the superb stereo radio, stereo cassette player with twin speakers bringing out the best in your favourite tapes. There's handy cassette storage space too. You won't lack for other little luxuries either, with cut pile carpet, sporty 3-spoke steering wheel, stylishly trimmed doors and a digital clock. You've also got a real ace up your sleeve when it comes to the squeeze between passengers and luggage. With the versatile 60-40 split rear seats, you can fit in everything from a set of golf clubs to the family dog and still have room in the back seat. Metro L models are great fun to drive with a choice of a lively 1 litre or 1.3 engines. Choose the 1.3 automatic transmission option and you'll find a really smooth customer. Rush hour traffic's a walkover and you get home feeling fresh and ready for action. A look on the inside, pretty much what you expect really, a bit of almost jazzy seats and the bare essentials really. Door cards not going all the way up, as you can see. You can see the body colour through there. Badging the same as the Montego and the Maestro, with that badge that I guess from a distance looks like a stylised version of the Rover badge, but like I say, not badged Rover. We do get such luxuries as a digital clock like on the City X. And then there is our main image of the L model. It's really not much to get too excited about. It's almost like I might have gone for a yellow City X just so it looks a little bit more characterful really. But anyway, let's move up the range. Moving on up the range kind of like takes you to the luxury Metro, I guess, the 1.3 GS. I guess the top of the range if you was just having to look for some luxury kind of. Although it's sometimes a bit of a funny model to see really. I think you're probably better getting lowly Metros really, which are more price competitive. But it isn't the last model, of course. Like I say, it is a huge range, the Metros. The next models after this, and there's still a lot to come, are all sort of the so-called sporty models. So this is the more luxury, like I said, very luxury in very small letters. But let's look at the text, then we'll come back to these images. So it describes this model as cosseting luxury, sporting style at a price so keen you'll hardly believe it. The Metro 1.3 GS, take your pick from 3 or 5 door versions. It's got everything you're looking for. Great looks with sporty wheel trims, smart tailgates and bodyside coach lines, bright bodyside moulding inserts, and great luxury. Hop inside in a trice with convenient Central locking, settle into sport seats which look superb with their distinctive prism fabrics, and let the sunshine in. A glass sunroof is all part of the specification. You'll have high quality in-car entertainment, an electronic tune stereo radio, stereo cassette player. That is your inside peak. Rev counter, you notice. Anyway, moving on. With 4 speakers, plus the benefit of a security code theft deterrent. The lively 1.3 GS is a real driver's car, with a leather-bound steering wheel, tachometer and a wealth of other equipment. Automatic transmission is an extra cost option, whilst for confirmed addicts of the good life, there's a fantastic option pack available with leather seat facings, wood fascia and door inserts, electric front windows. Need we say more? Get going in the Metro 1.3 GS. Extraordinary fun for such an ordinary price. So even though the GS is kind of like the top model luxury wise, and you can even get a pack that makes it into an actual proper luxury Metro. I wonder how many people actually option this wood fascia, wood seat facings, electric windows. Never seen a Metro of this time period spec'd like that. You would have really wanted a Metro, I guess, to spec it in that way, but I guess it would make it into sort of like a Metro Van den Pla, really, if you added all that on there. Or Van den Plas, for those who love me saying that. Anyway, let's look at the other images. So there we go, looking at the door cards there, confirmation that the basic GS has got wind down windows, or you can go for the option pack to give you electric windows. And then a look at this 5-door model with its colour coordinated grille, but not colour coordinated door mirrors, surprisingly. Anyway, let's move on to the more so-called sporty end of the Metro range. So the first model up kind of like puzzles me a little bit, I must admit, the Metro Sport, because we've also got the GTA, which was that warm hatch, and then we've got the MG Metro. So I'm not sure why they had or felt the need to have one called the Metro Sport. Obviously, it's going to be the cheapest of these more sporty looking Metros, but still, don't quite understand. It's almost like a case of throwing an extra model in there for throwing an extra model in there. But anyway, we'll look at the text, come back to these images, and then we'll move on to the more known sportier models. So it tells us the Metro Sport, terrific looks, loads of go for a lot less than you think. The Sport looks just what it is, a hot little hatchback that knows how to handle itself, with aerodynamic tail spoiler, all white sports wheel trims and special graphics and paint treatment. So there it is. We do get body coloured door mirrors on this one now. I think what I do like about it, and I've always liked these about the sportier Metros, or the Metros with this particular aero piece on the tailgate, I was quite like that. I always thought it looked quite good and suited the car. But anyway, let's move on. Under the bonnet is a 73 PS 1.3 engine with a real sting in its tail. Relax, it's also remarkably economical. You won't have to put up with a Spartan cockpit in return for sparkling performance. Just try those stylishly trimmed sports seats for size. Now tune into the electronic stereo radio, stereo cassette player, 4 speakers, great sound and a built-in security code. Theft deterrent, of course. It concludes by saying there's a wealth of driving equipment too, including tachometer, of course. Right up your street. Choose your sport in one of 5 selected colours and paint the town red. And then we get an example with this white wheel trim and colour coordinated bumpers. Seats are quite nice. We can see the door cards going all the way to the top now, so maybe those seats might have tempted you into this model, but like I say, there's more sporty models, so let's move on. Actually no, the door cards don't go all the way up. I thought it was the bright coming through the window, but you can still see that white paint at the top there. But anyway, yes, like I say, let's move on up the sporty models. to the model that was actually featured at the start of this section for Metro, the Metro GTA. I certainly remember quite a few of these running around, so I think they sold quite well, and actually they did look quite good for what they were. Anyway, let's have a look at the text. It tells us racetrack looks, fast lane performance, unbeatable value for money, the Metro GTA. It looks fast, with great looking alloy wheels, wide ultra low profile tyres to grip the tarmac, sporty wheel arch spats, a deep front air dam and tail spoiler. It is fast and agile with it. A highly tuned 73 PS engine delivers punchy performance. Sport suspension gives you a taut, crisp feel on tight corners, and it's a dream to drive, spoiling you with luxuries like the 4-speaker electronic music system, snuggling you into superb cockpit with sport seats, giving you fun you simply couldn't have thought possible at the price. The Metro GTA. Catch one if you can. There is your interior, still a little bit of paintwork showing through, as we can see. And the image itself, unfortunately it is falling on the crease to some extent, but I quite like the package actually. It looks quite good. Certainly those alloy wheels are a nice touch. Yes, I'm sure there was much better, sportier super minis out there, particularly from France and Italy, but still I can see why it did sell quite well, and I'm sure, like it says, I think the price was competitive for what it was, and even more so as a second-hand car. Anyway, the more sporty version, so let's move on. So moving up to your top sporty model, and I'm sure if you was picking any of these sporty or so-called sporty Metros, I'm sure this is really the model that you actually wanted, the MG Turbo version. I'm sure it was a lot of fun actually. All the polish and panache of the mark, stylish, sophisticated, great to drive, and more importantly, you actually get a nameplate on it. Yeah, all the others are just a Metro. Now we've got a MG Metro, so that's certainly nice. Unfortunately, they've taken these pictures, and I don't like this when they do all this on brochures, on a black sheet and a black car. Make it at least green or something, but I'll try and zoom in, but unfortunately there will be lots of reflections. So nice alloys, of course, a little bit of a red turbo badge because we're still in the 80s and we have to get excited by the word turbo. Decals, this unusual position of decals, but actually I don't mind it too much. A little bit of an aero treatment on that bumper as well. I do overall like this, and certainly out of all the Metro range, this is kind of like your pick of the range, surely, isn't it? But let's turn the page. So the Metro 1300 Turbo, we do actually get a green version, although that does look a little bit black on camera. That's a green version. Quite liked it with the red MG and the turbo on the back of it. We'll have a closer look, although red and green, unusual colour combination. Red and green should never be seen unless upon a donkey, but I do quite like it. Anyway, we'll have a look at the text, then we'll come back to these images. Drive an MG and you'd better get used to being noticed. Modern graphics enhance the sporty all-body colour paint treatment, whilst the MG Turbo's latest style is enough to stop any competitor in its tracks. Alloy wheels shod with ultra-low profile tyres look superb and feel great in tight corners. Once inside an MG, you won't want to get out. Sumptuous sculpted velvet facings show off the sport seats, complemented by a chic fabric door trim. You'll love the in-car audio system with an electronic tune, stereo radio cassette player, plus a useful built-in security code, theft deterrent. Naturally, you'll have all the other refinements for which the MG mark is well known, including a glass sunroof and tinted glass, the convenience of central locking, all enhancing the punchy performance with sharp handling, which gives you such a zest to MG driving. Whether you're shrugging off the rush hour in the carefree MG 1300 or flying along in the exhilarating MG Turbo, enjoy the drive and the attention. So yes, in fact there is actually two models here. It's quite hard to figure that out. There's the MG 1300 Metro and these MG Turbo Metro. So there is actually two models, although all the images are of the Turbo. The 1300 is a little bit forgotten, really. Anyway, let's look at the images. So another little side image of the one in black. The interior, which I actually really like. Love the seats with the MG logo on there. Lots of red lines or stripes on there denoting fast, and even a red carpet on there. I think that was a nice little touch. So this is the green example, and I've just noticed that this is actually the 1300 model. Interesting, the main image is of the MG 1300, so quite